You have done everything they told you would work. You show up when others stay home. You serve in rooms where no one notices. You speak faith on mornings when speaking anything takes effort. You give when the numbers are already too low. You stay in integrity when a shortcut is right there, looking reasonable, and nobody would ever know. And still, nothing has shifted the way you believed it would. You have watched someone who just started their faith walk step into a financial blessing. You have been standing in line for years. You smiled, said congratulations, and meant it. But later, alone, something in you asked a question you were almost afraid to finish. Am I doing something wrong? Does God truly see the difference between someone going through the motions and someone who has genuinely given everything? You are not alone in asking that, and you are not wrong for asking. That question you carry quietly inside your faithfulness is not proof of weak faith. It is proof that you take God seriously enough to want the real answer. Today, I am giving you that answer. Not the version that sounds good on a poster. The real one. There are 7 specific reasons why chosen people walk through financial deserts before their harvest arrives. And reason number 5 is the one almost no one discusses, because when you understand it, it does not just change how you see your desert, it changes who you become inside of it. Stay with me. This is exactly what this season has been waiting for you to hear. Before we go further, if those first moments touch something real in you, hit like right now. That one click sends this to someone who needs it today. Subscribe so you never miss a message like this. Drop one word in the comments describing your season. I read every single one. Let us keep going. Here is something worth sitting with. In the financial world, an empty account delivers one verdict: falling behind. No context, just verdict. But God's kingdom does not run on that logic. The season you are in may be the most significant test of your entire spiritual life. The grading criteria has nothing to do with your balance. This person still gives in the month when giving costs something real, still prays over others while waiting on their own answer. Chooses honesty when lying would have been easier. No applause, no visible return, just faithfulness in the quiet. That is rare and very costly, and it is being seen. There is a woman in 1 Kings whose story carries weight for this moment. A widow in Zarephath during a severe drought, down to her last resources, one final meal. A prophet arrived and asked her to give to him first, before herself, before her child. She obeyed. God's response is recorded in 1 Kings 17 verse 14. The jar of flour shall not be spent, and the jug of oil shall not be empty, until the day that the Lord sends rain upon the earth. The provision came not because she had surplus, but because she was faithful with what she had left. The miracle met her at her obedience. People in the desert miss this. They wait for circumstances to improve before expecting the miracle. But the miracle has always been waiting for character to prove itself under pressure. The widow did not receive because she was full. She received because she gave from her empty. That is the moment heaven has been watching for in your life too. Every faithful act in this dry season is recorded somewhere that matters more than any balance sheet. But why is the desert still here if God sees all of this? Reason number 2 will give you not just hope, but a perspective that changes everything about how you see this season. Let me say something directly. If you have quietly believed that financial difficulty means something is spiritually wrong with you, hear this: that belief is not just inaccurate. It has kept millions of faithful people ashamed of the very season preparing them. In Scripture, every person whose life became worth telling walked through a desert first, not after failure, as a requirement. The desert was the curriculum, not the punishment. Consider the prophet Elijah. Before any of his most powerful moments, he was sent alone to a brook called Cherith. No audience, no visible ministry, just water and food from ravens each day. That hiddenness was not wasted. It was where his foundation was being laid. Jeremiah 17 verse 8 says, "He shall be like a tree planted by the waters, who spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear when heat comes. But its leaf will be green, and will not be anxious in the year of drought, nor will cease from yielding fruit." The tree is in a drought. Heat has arrived, but the leaf is still green, because during the drought, the roots were going deeper into a source no future season could take away. The drought pushed the roots far enough to survive everything that comes next. Your desert is doing exactly that to your roots right now. 3 things this season builds in you that no shortcut could. First, a patience that cannot be faked. What genuine waiting produces is permanent. It keeps you from moving too fast and damaging what God spent too long building. Second, a knowledge of your true source that abundance never teaches. Someone always provided for quietly credits their own effort. But someone who watched God provide when every number said impossible knows their provider at a depth prosperity never reaches. Third, character proven under real pressure. Integrity formed when nothing was available to impress anyone with is the only kind that can truly be trusted with what is coming. The desert is not the pause before your preparation. The desert is the preparation. There is no harvest on the other side without going through it. The third reason calls for an honest conversation with yourself. It does not point outward. It points inward. And what it reveals has the power to change everything about where you are headed. Let me ask you something honest. If your harvest arrived tomorrow, if everything you have been praying for was fully in your hands, are you certain you would handle it well? Not the financial side, something deeper. The person you are right now, could that version of you hold what God is preparing without it changing you in ways you would regret? Take a breath before you answer. Resources flow at the same pace as character growth. When money arrives before a person is ready to carry it, it does not become a blessing. It becomes a sharper test than the desert ever was. Think about Solomon. He received wisdom and wealth unlike anyone before him. He started brilliantly, but slowly, the abundance revealed things inside him that had never been fully addressed. Small compromises that multiplied divided loyalties that grew quietly. The wealth did not ruin Solomon. The wealth exposed what was already there that had not yet been dealt with. Solomon himself wrote in Proverbs 4 verse 7, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all your getting, get understanding. Understanding that becomes part of the core of who you are is not transferred by reading. It is formed by walking through seasons that demand it at the deepest level. What the desert demands from you is exactly what the harvest will require to keep. Here is a question worth sitting with. If you woke up tomorrow with 10 times the resources you have right now, who would be the first people you would reach out to? Would your most important relationships remain unchanged? Would the things that matter most still feel the same? If you feel any hesitation, that hesitation is not condemnation. It is information. God is not withholding your harvest out of distance. He is withholding it out of love, too careful to be careless. He is not going to place into your hands what your hands are not yet formed to carry. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end, beautiful in its time." Not early, the timing is not added on top of the gift. The timing is part of the gift itself. God is not keeping the harvest from you. He is keeping you for the harvest. There is a version of you being built right now that is the only version strong enough to receive it without losing it. This is not a season of being overlooked. This is a season of becoming the person the harvest requires. And the reason we go into next stopped me completely when I understood it. Because it is not about what you are lacking. It is about what God is doing entirely outside your current line of sight. Why do you actually want to be prosperous? Not the version you say in a prayer meeting, the real one. The one sitting quietly in you at 2 in the morning when no performance is required. The desert does something specific. It strips away every version of the answer that is not true. When there is nothing impressive to point to, what you are left with is the real reason. And that reason is exactly what God is paying attention to right now. Some people want prosperity to prove something to someone who once made them feel small. That is a wound dressed as ambition. The money would arrive, the proving moment would come, and then what? The wound would still be underneath, needing the next level of proof. Some people want prosperity because they want to stop feeling exposed. A large enough account to finally feel safe from uncertainty. That is fear wearing the clothing of vision. No amount of money closes that gap because the fear does not live in the account. It lives inside and follows every balance. Some people want prosperity so that a specific person will finally respect them. That is the need to belong, to finally feel like enough. Real human needs, but needs that money has never been able to meet. And then there is the answer God has been waiting to hear. Not about proving anything, the generous, spacious answer. I want to be a resource for people who need one. I want to fund what matters. I want to open doors for people who do not have access yet. Joseph understood this at a level only the desert can teach. He spent years in a pit and in a prison. He had every reason to become bitter. But when the moment of his elevation came, hear what he said to the brothers who had sold him. In Genesis 50 verse 20, he told them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done." The saving of many lives. Not a word about everything he had suffered. Not a moment of using his position to settle what he was owed. Only the purpose he had been shaped to serve. And in Genesis 45 verse 5, he said to them, "Do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." Sent ahead. He reframed the hardest years of his life as an intentional assignment. That is what a fully prepared heart looks like. God is not just preparing your hands to receive the harvest. He is preparing your heart so that when the harvest comes, you become the harvest for someone who needs what only you can now give. The desert does this work gently, through clarity, not condemnation. What remains when the work is done is the version of you that can truly be trusted. Now we arrive at the fifth reason, the one I promised from the beginning. When you hear it, I believe your desert will never look the same. Here is what almost no one tells you about the timing of your harvest. Your season is not only waiting on you to be ready, it is waiting on everything around you to be positioned correctly. The people meant to walk with you into what is coming. The protection that needs to be in place before the blessing arrives. The conditions that must exist before the seed becomes what it was always created to be. While you have been in the desert, wondering what is taking so long, God has been building a harvest that no force can dismantle once it arrives, because something important is still being constructed around what he is about to release. A farmer does not plant the rarest seed during frost. The ground would destroy it before it ever grew. The farmer waits until the soil is ready and the season has shifted. The delay is protection of something too valuable to risk in the wrong conditions. David was anointed king as a young man. Something real was transferred in that moment. But between the anointing and the throne was a decade of running and surviving. Here is what most people miss. While David was in the wilderness, his army was gathering around him. People who had walked through their own difficulty were finding their way to his side. The alliances that would hold his kingdom were being forged through shared struggle. If David had stepped onto the throne immediately, he would have arrived alone, with no one built for what was coming. The desert did not interrupt the kingdom. The desert is how the kingdom was assembled. David wrote in Psalm 27 verse 14, "Wait for the Lord, be strong, and take heart, and wait for the Lord." He wrote that from inside the waiting, not as someone untouched by its weight, but as someone who had learned that God was working in the parts of the season he could not see. And Psalm 84 verse 11 says, "For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord bestows favor and honor. No good thing does he withhold from those whose walk is blameless." No good thing withheld. If something is being held back right now, either this is not the right moment, or the timing itself is part of what makes it good when it arrives. Both require the same response: trust, and staying without abandoning the field. Your adversary knows something is coming for your life, but your adversary cannot stop a harvest that has been properly prepared, surrounded, and timed. God is not only waiting until you are ready, He is building the entire environment. The right people, the open doors, the protection that makes what is coming untouchable from the outside. Your harvest has not been delayed because the enemy is winning. It has been delayed because God is surrounding it with something that nothing will be able to touch once it arrives in your hands. You are not in a waiting room. You are inside the construction of something built to last. Every morning you choose faithfulness in this desert. Every day you stay when leaving would have been easier. You are adding to the permanence of what is coming. Stay present. Stay close. Because when that door opens, it will not open slowly. It will open completely, and you will walk through it as someone who was built, intentionally, for exactly this. I want to ask you a very real question. If someone stopped you in the middle of the street today and asked, "What is most important in your life?" what would you say? Almost certainly, you would not say money. You would say health, family, peace of mind, faith in something greater than yourself. You know the real answer already. Most of us know it. But the way we live during a financial desert often tells a completely different story. We worry about money as if it were the only variable determining whether we are okay or not. We measure God's blessings by our account balances. We confuse temporary shortages with permanent abandonment. And that is exactly what the desert is helping you correct. The world's richest billionaire could not buy what you are learning right now. In your desert, the first treasure. Peace beyond reason. Think about this for a moment. The world's richest people can buy the most comfortable beds, hire the best professionals, create the most perfect environments. But there is one thing they cannot buy. No matter how much money they spend, true peace of mind amidst life's storms. When you learn to live peacefully in the financial desert, when you can lie down at night and not let anxiety take control of your mind, when you can sit still with unanswered questions and still feel God's hand holding you, you possess a kind of asset that no market in the world can put a price on. Philippians 4-7 says, "The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." Note one thing. This verse does not say that peace comes when circumstances change. It says peace comes and holds you in the midst of things that remain unchanged. It is the kind of peace being built within you right now. Money can buy comforts, but not a single penny in the world can buy that peace. The second treasure, unconditional gratitude, there is a little-known secret about lasting prosperity. Those who receive a great harvest but do not know how to keep it are often those who have never learned unconditional gratitude. When things come easily, gratitude comes easily. But it also goes away just as easily. But the one who has sat in the desert with nothing and still found reasons to be grateful, that person will know how to keep the harvest when it comes, because they know that prosperity is not the destination. It is the reward for a prepared heart. You are learning that lesson right now. Every day you choose to look for something to be grateful for in the desert is a day you are building the foundation to keep everything the harvest will bring. The third treasure, distinguishing truth from falsehood in relationships. There is one thing the financial desert does that nothing else can do better. It filters. It clearly shows who is with you because of what you have to give, and who is with you because of who you are. The relationships that remain after the desert season are pure gold. Not plated gold, real gold, the kind that never tarnishes with the passage of time. When the harvest comes, you will know exactly who deserves to be with you in it, and you will not be alone when you receive it. Mirror reflection. Paul and the letter from prison. There is a story in the Bible that, every time I read it, shakes me. Paul sat in prison, not for a brief morning, not for a few comfortable weeks. He was there in chains, surrounded by uncertainty on all sides. And from there, he wrote the letter to the Philippians, one of the most profound and beautiful texts of joy in the entire Bible. This is no coincidence. A person who can only rejoice when everything is going well has nothing to teach the world. Anyone can do that, but a person who can write about joy while in chains changes history. And Paul's words have changed millions of lives for over 2,000 years. You do not know which letter you are writing this desert season, what story will emerge from the very days you are living through. But I know one thing, it will have power simply because it was born here. In this place, in this season. Looking back on the journey, I want you to pause for a second and look back on your life. Where do the most profound lessons you are carrying with you today, the things that have truly changed the way you think, the way you love, the way you see things, come from? From the days when everything was easy and smooth, or from the days when you had to sit down in silence and question everything you once believed? The desert is not just preparing your finances, it is preparing the intellect, compassion, and depth you will need not only to receive the harvest, but to share it in a way that truly changes the lives of those around you. This is the most important thing I want you to carry from this section. Your desert is not just preparing your wallet. It is preparing your heart to be worthy of receiving, keeping, and multiplying all that comes. And that leads us to the most important question remaining. When does the desert end? How do you know when the harvest is approaching? I want to tell you this with absolute certainty. The desert does not last forever. It cannot. That is the law of nature, and that is the nature of God. The dry season cannot be the last season because it was not designed to be the last season. It was designed to be the season of preparation. The question is not, will the harvest come? The question is, will you recognize it when it begins to take shape? Many people leave the fields just one day before the rain comes. Signs the desert is coming to an end. I do not want to tell you vague things. I want to tell you specific things, things you can check in your own life today. The first sign, you stop praying to get out of the desert and start praying to learn what the desert wants to teach. This is spiritual maturity that very few people achieve. When your prayer shifts from Lord, get me out of here, to Lord, teach me what you want me to learn here, the desert begins to give way. The second sign, your peace no longer depends on your account balance. Not because you do not care about finances, but because you have found something more solid than the balance to place your peace of mind in. The third sign, your gratitude becomes genuine. Not because you want God to give more, because you truly, deep down, recognize what He has given you, that you have never counted enough. The fourth sign, you begin to help others even though you have not yet emerged from your own desert. When your heart expands beyond your own circumstances, that is the clearest sign that you are no longer imprisoned by them. The fifth sign, you can say, no matter what, God is enough. And you truly believe it. Not because life has become easier, but because you have changed. If you recognize any of these signs in your life, I want you to know the harvest is not far off. During the worst drought anyone could remember, a farmer kept working his fields while his neighbors gave up and let their land go dry. Day after day, he watered the soil, pulled weeds, and sowed seeds, even without a single drop of rain in sight. When people asked why, he simply said, "When the rain comes, prepared land receives the most. Abandoned land receives nothing." When the rains finally arrived, his fields flourished, his neighbors' fields stayed empty, even though the same rain fell on everyone. That is the truth about faithfulness in a desert season. It is not passive waiting, it is showing up every day to cultivate, pray, serve, and sow. Because Psalm 126:5 does not say you might reap in joy after sowing in tears. It says you will. Every day you choose to believe without proof, give thanks without change, and keep going without giving up. You are preparing your soil. So right now, place your hand on your chest and declare, I am not abandoned. I am being prepared. My desert has a purpose. My harvest is coming. These are not hollow words. They are the foundation your harvest will stand on. You have kept going when the sky gave you nothing. Do not walk away from your fields the day before the rain arrives. Your season is coming, and it is closer than you think. If this moved you, drop "The harvest is coming" in the comments. Share this with someone in their own desert season, and subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Your journey is not ending here. It is just beginning.